Oh, thank God for that. Oh, thank God it's finally over. The 2024-25 campaign comes to an end. And what a bleak, depressing, miserable affair it really, really was. Signed off, to be fair, with 3 points away at already relegated Ipswich Town on the last game of the season to see West Ham United finish in the heady heights of 14th place in the Premier League. 38 games played, 11 wins, 10 draws, and 17 grim defeats. 46 goals scored, 62 let in, minus 16 goal difference, the worst outside the bottom 3 teams, and 43 points in total. Small mercies in finishing above Manchester United and Tottenham, but Tottenham won the Europa League. So whose season would you have rather had? Theirs, of course, and Manchester United are totally woeful. We snuck above Wolves on the last game of the season, finished 5 points behind David Moyes, Everton, and 10 behind Crystal Palace in 12th, who also won the FA Cup yet another season. In and around us, had by a team that West Ham United should be having, given the scale of the club, its fan base, and its spending power. But there we go. I'm Will Pugh, and joining me for the last time of the season. To be fair, Jonesy, is James Jones, by the way. To be fair, Jonesy, we normally do an end of season review episode, don't we? And give it a couple of weeks, give ourselves a little bit of a break, and then have a look back at the at the season, often like month by month, big moments, big games. I'll be honest, mate, I don't want to do that.
Well, if we are going to plan that, then I'm just going to speak to my therapist before, just to see whether it's a good idea. Just to see, is this a good idea, mate?
Now, mate?
Yeah. If I'm honest, I have absolutely no interest in reliving 90% of that season.
Yeah.
But like, just barely anything good happened.
No.
Lots of rubbish happened.
Double over Man United, good.
Yeah, we did the double over Ipswich as well.
Stopping Arsenal winning the league again.
Good. Yes, that was good. Finishing above United and Tottenham, good.
Yeah.
Winning at Newcastle was good. That was a good win because they qualified for the Champions League.
Yeah, watching Jared Bowen be one of England's best players, good.
Again,
watching him get snubbed from the England team, bad.
Yeah. But there's nothing there to relive, really.
No,
don't want to relive it.
No. I think we'll call this one the end of season podcast. I think you know what even annoyed me the most, or not the most, but one of the things that annoyed me the most about this season, and I really like infuriated me. And I know I haven't spoke to you for a couple of weeks now because Alex stood in manfully for me last week. Aaron Wan-Bissaka winning Hammer of the Year. Like, our own fans are trolling us as a club. Like, the one chance that all of the supporters had, like, what a couple of weeks for Jared Bowen. He must genuinely be like, what on earth is the matter with these people? What have I got to do? Like, I don't even know how the voting process works these days, to be fair. I imagine it's just something you just got to do on Twitter, and it's a load of Twitter trolls or Manchester United fans. Just honestly, that annoyed me. The whole season, this, James, has been the biggest, and I mean it, the very biggest test in the last 18 months, I think. And even perhaps stretching to the beginning of the previous season, the last 18 months to 18 to 20-ish months have been by far the biggest test of my West Ham fandom for a very, very, very long time. I know there were bleak times before, but I think maybe it's so much worse because it's a come down after the best days of my whole life, not just my supporting West Ham life. I think it just feels like such a come down from there. And I mean this in the least sort of braggy. It's not a thing I'm pleased about, but I kind of saw it coming a little bit. All to be careful what you wish for stuff. Like, kind of felt this season was coming. And I'm like, I don't know. I just find it just it's really, really the whole soul and the whole fun of it has really been ripped out of it this season. I have enjoyed almost none of it. The season's basically been over since September, pretty much. Julian Lopetegui, absolute vandal, came in and absolutely destroyed the football club. Tim Stighton's left. According to lots of fans, he was the saviour and the messiah that we all needed after he handed out David Moyes. That bloke's nowhere to be seen anymore, taking his pound of flesh and disappeared into the night. Julian Lopetegui, same sort of thing. From where we were, this time last year, but this time 22 months ago. No, what am I talking about? About 16 months ago to where we are now. It's really ripped out loads of I haven't been passionate about a West Ham game for months, mate. It's so difficult to get on board with when the season's over in September and you can't see anything there's nothing to that's gonna get you excited about it, is it? Gave us no hopes in the cup. And even when we did win, it was kind of like the Newcastle game. I remember talking about that, and it's decent win there. But it kind of, because we were just doing nothing and going to do nothing, there wasn't going to be this run that was produced out of nowhere. Just because of that, even when we did win, it's just all right, great. So what? We're not bad enough to go down. We're not doing anything in any of the competitions we're in. We're not in Europe anymore.
So you didn't enjoy the season then, no?
I genuinely challenge anyone to tell me any different. I will genuinely be pleased to hear that. But surely everyone feels like that.
I think this time last year we finished 10th off the back of bottling the second half of the season, and we probably should have qualified for Europe given the form going into Christmas and New Year, and then we won one game after the New Year. Ultimately led to David Moyes not renewing his contract. So it's not just been this year. I think it's been like you said, 18 months where it's just not been fun. Whether I saw it coming or not, I don't know. I mean, everyone knows that I was quietly optimistic about Lopetegui. I was one of those that went, "Oh, do you know what? Give him a go." He did half a decent job with a rubbish Wolves team and kept them up when he was last in the Premier League. We might be onto something here. Obviously, it didn't work. But yeah, I'm
Jonesy. It's lucky you were that guy. It needed.
It needed that, didn't it? It did need that. Yeah,
Pete last season if we just swapped roles over the summer. I must admit, I way prefer being the positive bloke though.
Yeah, no, you're welcome. You're welcome. I'm glad I made the podcast fun for a little while everyone was crying. I was, that bastion of hope. It was. Yeah,
you were the bastion of hope. True. Yeah.
But yeah, the problem I've got right now though is there is just way too much work to be done this summer for my liking.
What, rebuilding the entire football club? You mean from the ground up?
Just looking at I'm still really questioning the decision to not offer Cresswell an extended deal. Just because of the role that he plays in that back three that Graham Potter clearly prefers. Having him as a backup, it's just why have you let that player go? It just means we've got to buy another player in to cover that. We're under restrictions as it is. We keep being told that it's not going to be another £150 million summer. To fund a spend like that, it means that Kudus is going to have to go, Paqueta's going to have to go.
Good.
Which, okay, fine. Given the seasons that both have had, you go, we wouldn't mind that.
Get rid.
But then you replace those. If you're going to replace those adequately, you're spending the majority of the money that you're getting from. And I'm concerned a little bit that there's too much work to be done for us in order for us to be ready for the start of next season. Given that we're not Soler's gone, we're not going to keep his decent squad player for me. Not a starter every week, but decent squad player.
Fine, yeah.
Evan Ferguson.
Poor man's Pablo Fornals.
Yeah, of course. Evan Ferguson, definitely not. I mean, see you, mate.
I was so excited about that.
Me too. Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
oh, finally we got a striker. Though
Yeah.
just pointless. And the thing that's really grating on me is that
It really is.
after everything that's happened, once again we're going into the summer, going we desperately need to sign a striker. And it's like for the 20th year on the trot. We're going. We desperately need to sign a striker. I'm bored of that. I'm really bored of it. And do you know what? I would not be surprised if on the first day of next season we're lining up with Big Mick up front. His comeback game. He's been offered.
I can't even laugh at that.
He's been offered a pay as you play deal to stay at the football club until we sign a striker. And we have a load of failed attempts.
Again,
we can't get anyone in before the start of the season. So Big Mick lines up against Aston Villa away on the first game of next season, and everyone's scratching their heads, going, "What on earth, how is this that difficult to do? Why is it impossible for this one football club to not be able to sign a striker that is good?"
I'm sorry. What about Big Nicky Fulkrug? I think there's a player in there.
Well, we're led to believe that. I mean, I agree. I mean, I think when he's been playing, we've looked at a better team all round with him in the team.
Yeah. He is. He's the real deal. I can't bear to watch us ship him off back to Europe. I can't bear it. Ship him off back to Europe, and then he smashes in 35 goals for Ajax next season. You know what I mean? Yeah. I was going to say Alaa Haller, but I was glad to see the back of Haller. Yeah, we've got to be patient with him. Like, we've got to be. He's clearly a class act. 25 Germany caps. Banging him in for Borussia Dortmund before we got him. Like, very, very good player. Clearly knows how to play football. And it's just, what are you going to do behind that? Like, well unlucky with his injuries. That game, Villa away, I think he got injured. Felt really bad for him then. He fought a long time to come back. He looked pretty good in the game. And then, out again for a while. Fitness may be an issue, but I think there definitely is a player in there. But again, sorry, but Kudus and Paqueta for me, it's largely their fault about this season. Obviously, Lopetegui's mainly to blame. But then, Graham Potter came in, and if nothing else, he just started putting some square pegs in some round holes and actually playing a normal football formation rather than whatever the hell Julian Lopetegui was trying to do. And then there was no... You'd sort of think once everyone's sort of in rough positions they're supposed to be in, you'd have a bit of a spark from your two players who, according to the release clauses in their contract, are worth nearly £170 million between them. Their stats this season are a disgrace. Obviously, Paqueta's got his own issues going on in the background. But again, it's one of those where if he's found guilty, there's no one to blame but himself. If he's let off, then you kind of give him a pass, and you go, if he's found that he didn't do it, then we've got no choice but to go, well, fair enough. And understandably, with that hanging over you, no wonder that would affect your performance. But Mohamed Kudus in particular, I mean, total lack of end product merchant. Hasn't done anything this season. And again, it's just so classic. It's so classic that I've said it time and time again. You know how with Manchester United, right? And I think it's what I call FIFA or Football Manager syndrome, where fans just get bored of seeing the same players in their team shirts every week. So they boo them out the club. They hound them out the club. And you look at Manchester United, right? David De Gea, Scott McTominay, Aaron Wan-Bissaka. All three of those players stroll back into Manchester United's team. But fans just convince themselves that they're not quite cutting it and that there's something better out there. The grass is greener. And I mean, do you want Mazraoui, Onana, or Casemiro, or whoever they have got instead in midfield? Scott McTominay is the next coming of Diego Maradona at Napoli now. Aaron Wan-Bissaka's somehow shithoused his way to Hammer of the Year at West Ham, but albeit he's easily in our top three best players of the season. And again, David De Gea was a class act as well. And I think that has happened and is happening with West Ham. I think losing, obviously Declan Rice is different. Like Fornals, you'd give your right arm to have him back this season. But again, people just like, because he doesn't do that many step overs, people got bored of him. But people will trip over themselves to tell you how good Saeed Benrahma was. But it's sort of like this weird thing. It's the same with Kudus as well. Get him out of the club. I don't want him anywhere near the club anymore. Like, those are exactly the sort of players. They're the last thing West Ham United need. You think they're too good for us, think they're too big for us. And you want Jared Bowens. Like, Soufal's going. Got so much undeserved grief. Again, not saying he's Cafu, but he was mustard for us early on. We treated him badly financially with his contracts and stuff. He was on a fairly low wage in the first place, understandably, to reflect the fact that he was getting on in his career a little bit for a footballer. He only cost £5 million, and he was coming from like a team in Slavia Prague. But after some outstanding performances on the continent and in the league, we've messed him around, and I believe his contract was in sort of the 35 grand a week mark, which in today's money and for the performances he gave, nowhere near it, what it should have been. Messed him around there. He's now on his way out. Cresswell, kind of take your point. Wouldn't be the worst thing if he was a backup. I don't think it's too much of a blow if he goes either. But I just think there's so much focus on just the wrong type of players. The Saeed Benrahmas of the world, Mohamed Kudus, Lucas Paqueta. Lucas Paqueta's not putting up. People talk about him as if he's like Dimitri Payet. He's in a totally different league. Payet was totally different. Lucas Paqueta's, there's a Rolls Royce of a player in there. Dimitri Payet, different league. Actual end product, actual goals and actual assists for West Ham United. As a defender, putting their all on the line, which is what Soufal's done, which is what Cresswell's done. We don't need Konstantinos Mavropanos. We don't need exotic players just because they've played on the continent before and their skill level is high on FIFA. Like, those aren't the players we want. We want Jared Bowens and we want Lucas Fabianskis. We want players who care and get it, what it's like to be West Ham. But not just that fluffy bit, but back it up with performances. And I'm just so bored of like decent, proper, good professionals who are good for West Ham being hounded out of the club because people just get a bit bored. And then everyone just falls in love with it. It's proper like getting into toxic relationships West Ham fans get into with players. Like Kudus, good riddance. Paqueta, get rid. Whatever happens, to be fair, with Paqueta, get rid anyway. Like, I've had enough of it. Get Fornals back.
Don't like any of your players then, do you?
Not really. No. Emerson, love him.
Yeah. I think, I know I'm concerned about the summer, but I think there's a little part of me that goes, I've taken it into account, especially what everything you just said about going after different, like the wrong type of player.
James Ward-Prowse. Why did we let him go? Sorry, carry on. Just thinking of other ones.
I think under Graham Potter and his scouting team, that changes a little bit, given his track record at Brighton in particular.
Big Kyle McCauley.
Yeah, like no, if you look at, not once at Brighton did they sign a big name or someone that was ripping it up in Europe.
No, true.
And someone that's been linked with Man United a couple of times because he scored 30 goals in, I don't know, Slovenia or something. And go, he's good. And then
yeah,
you know, it's always players that people go, "Who? Never heard of him before." like Joel Veltman and Karen Matoma and Evan Ferguson,
like Carlos Baleba.
Brighton have done it with other managers as well, but it kind of started under Graham Potter, didn't it?
Yeah.
And they go, yes, they're not around for very long because they buy them cheap and then they sell them for silly money 2 days down the line, and it's just rinse and repeat.
And then they flop at Chelsea.
And then they go and flop at Chelsea, including Graham Potter for that point.
Yeah, true,
But so part of me is like, I'm concerned about the lack of funds available to achieve the job that we need to achieve in this window. But at the same time, part of me is like, there could be a couple of little deals in there that could turn out to be the type of players that you've just been talking about, the types of the Pablo Fornalses, the Soufals, Like those sort of players that can come in for next to no money, relatively unknown, just happy to be there, just buzzing. Because let's have it right. Sue Farrell, right at West Ham, just happy to be here, just buzzing.
Delighted, wasn't he?
Yeah. And then he went on to achieve what he did at the club.
Yeah.
Now he's a cult hero. Really, he's a massive fan favourite.
Massively.
Fornals, another one. Like couldn't stop smiling. Buzzing. Yeah. Every time you saw a picture of him, he's smiling, buzzing all the time. Even when we lost, he's probably got a smile on his face. Just happy to be there. So we want players like that. And I think Graham Potter, a big Carl McCauley, I think they're the type. They're the guys to identify those sort of players and bring them into the club.
Seriously though, give me them. Go and spend some money on a striker. Get rid of Mavropanos, definitely. But yeah, totally. I think that's kind of where the beauty is in, and that's what football's about these days, isn't it? I know Ollie Scholes has come through, and hopefully he makes it. It's one of those where I think everyone's got the bit of the Ngakias about them. I think he's better. I will say that I think he's better. But I just mean it's one of those
miles better than Ngakia. Ngakia decided he wanted to leave and then went to Watford and has never been seen again.
No, but he was all right for us.
I think he's still there. Like, mate,
he is actually. Yeah.
Like, come on.
Yeah, he's getting 35 grand a week now, though, which is more than he was getting at West Ham.
That's all right. Yeah, fair enough.
No, yeah, I agree with you there. That's what I mean. Pablo Fornals, Vladimir Coufal and Thomas Souček, hundreds of games for West Ham in our best ever era, cost less than 50 million quid between the three of them. Might be less than 40 actually. Yeah, I totally would love for you to be right. Whether or not you will be.
We've done it so many times in the past. If you look at the players, take Danny Ings out of it, but the three players that are leaving. Right, the three players that are leaving: Fabianski, Aaron Cresswell, and Coufal. We've already touched on Coufal. Aaron Cresswell cost us £5 million from Ipswich. 11 seasons later, he's leaving after almost 400 games, 300 Premier League games, a European trophy. Like unbelievable value for money. Fabianski, over 200 games for us, 10 million quid.
Yeah,
like there's value out there. You just got to know where it is. And that's just proof you don't have to always go out and spend 40 million quid on Mohamed Kudus or 50 million quid on Lucas Paqueta. Yes, those two players in particular, they've had really bad seasons for whatever reason. Paqueta's probably got more of a reason than Kudus. And they've had their moments at West Ham. They both, at times, I mean, for me, Paqueta's repaid his 50 million quid just for the assist in the final for Bowen.
Yeah.
But, mate, I'd pay 50 million quid if you can do that again every season, please. But Kudus, brilliant first season. So, may as well have just not bothered this year.
No,
don't bother turning that.
And that's the difference. That is the difference, I'm telling you, between top quality and, you know what, dip into the Championship again. Aaron Cresswell, Jared Bowen, two of our greatest players of the modern era. Yeah, go and dip into the Championship. There's value in there, isn't there? There's some decent players knocking about, but I just
you know what will happen? We'll pick up Harwood Bellis, and we'll pick up Walker Peters on a free. So there's two players. It costs us barely anything at all. We'll probably go out and get Aaron Ramsdale. God, I hope we don't, but we probably will. And then that'll be our Championship soiree because they've just been relegated. So technically they're a Championship club, and that'll be our Championship soiree. And then we'll go and waste the rest of our money on substandard tosh across Europe that have had a player that's done a really good season, but no one's ever heard of him. But he's done brilliantly. You want a player that even on paper looks like painfully average. He'll do because he's going to be happy to be here and he's going to put under. You don't want someone that's just banging 30 goals in for Ajax or even someone even worse than that, because he's going to rock up with an ego and go, right, well,
you already think he's better than West Ham.
You pay 50 million quid for me because you know I'm good. Right, don't want that. Don't want it.
No, I think you want people who come in and they play so well because they're furiously panicked they're going to get laughed at.
Yeah.
Like they
Like
want
Sue
you want
Farrell,
to,
probably. Sue
yeah,
Farrell's,
that's
I
what I'm
reckon,
saying.
I reckon exactly what went through Sue Farrell's head.
In their head, you want them absolutely petrified that they're going to be nowhere near it. So they
Yeah.
put every single fibre of their being into being a successful West Ham, and lo and behold, they are. Rather than the ones who just turn up going, I am mustard. I'm far too good for these lot. Paqueta literally came to West Ham because the deal to Arsenal fell through last minute. Like, that's literally why he's there. So he's already had the I'm better than these lot since he arrived. Kudus, yeah, it's very much stepping stone vibes from Kudus. Seriously, mate, if we sell him this summer, I'll be absolutely delighted. But I think people will see through it. Unless the Saudis take him, I suppose. But
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, well, that's a cheery start to the pod. 25-minute introduction there. Thanks for listening, everyone. Do us a favour, as usual, follow us on socials at @we_are_West Ham on Twitter. We are West Ham Pod on Instagram. Subscribe to the YouTube channel as well, where you can get all the clips. And if you want the podcast day before everyone else and ad-free listening, subscribe to patreon.com/weareWestHamPodcast. One thing I would say, Jonesy, before we move on, as it's the last one I'm going to do of the summer, just a big, massive thank you to Miriam Errington. You'll all hear the messages from her at the beginning of the podcast, but she's been an absolute superstar supporter of the We Are West Ham podcast for the last 2 seasons now, and even previously to that. To be fair, with the trip I did out to the pre-season tour in Australia, that she supported that one as well. She's been absolutely brilliant, and her company, Miriam Errington Conveyancing, in Adelaide in South Australia, for all of your property sales and needs. She is an absolutely wonderful person, and I think she's making a trip over to London. Her story's amazing. Go back and listen to that podcast if you haven't already. Her dad was a real big West Ham fan, and her support of West Ham is sort of an ongoing tribute to him. So it's absolutely wonderful. Barking Born, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Just big shout out to Miriam. If you're listening in Australia, or you know anyone who's happens to be buying or selling a house there, do give her a call, as many of you have already, because it's a really, really great way to pay her back for her support of the podcast. And I'm not over exaggerating this. Without it, we wouldn't have been doing it this season. So, big up, big love to Miriam. Stay with us, because we'll have a little bit of a chat about the fact West Ham actually won a game of football 3-1 away at Ipswich Town, our 11th of the season. Next. Right, 3-1, James, up to Portman Road. We went Ipswich 19th in the table, second bottom. They went down. They sort of looked promising earlier in the season, didn't they? Particularly Liam Delap, who will obviously be staying in the Premier League because he's absolutely mustard. And they sort of looked okay, gave a decent account of themselves. But in the end, just sort of nowhere near it, fell away a little bit. And a kind of a nice way to end the season, I suppose. Did you manage to get a ticket in the end, because you're only about 5 minutes down the road?
No, I did plan to, but it landed on a weekend where brother-in-law and his missus went away for the weekend, and so we lumped with their 3 kids. So
Are you supposed to call it getting lumped with?
No, that's probably a really wrong way of putting it, to be fair. We were looking after their 3 kids, my 3 nephews.
His 3 horrible little kids.
Who are all great, to be fair, but his youngest, who is 2, just has way too much energy for any human being to ever have. I've never seen a 2-year-old with the amount of energy that he's got. It's blows my mind. Yeah. So it's hard work. We've got our own one, so we've had 4 kids to look after this weekend. It's a lot of work, and so I thought it would be unfair on Luce if I just went, right, I'm off to West Ham for the afternoon. Yeah. I'll see you later. So I didn't bother. I didn't go.
Yeah, fair enough, mate. Fair enough. Well, we won 3-1. James Ward-Prowse putting us in the lead. Nathan Broadhead with the equaliser early in the second half, and then Jared Bowen hit back almost straight away before Mohamed Kudus, finally, when it doesn't matter, right at the end of the season, probably did it just in order to get himself a move away, scored, or fingers crossed anyway, scored in the 87th minute to make it 3-1, a nice way to cap the season off for the travelling fans. and nice reception given to all the departing players at the end. Well, give us your thoughts, Jonesy.
Well, yeah, like it was a game, probably the only game of the afternoon. There's a couple in there that just meant nothing to anyone. I felt like it was a foregone conclusion before a ball was kicked.
What, they would win?
Yeah, just, and it's not even, no disrespect to Ipswich, even though I have technically just disrespected them.
Yeah, well, this is one of your favourite things to do, isn't it? Be really disrespectful. No disrespect.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mean any disrespect. They're down. A lot of their players know they're off. Like Liam Delap knows he's off. There'll be a lot of players that go, I don't even need to play for my future at this football club because my agent's already told me I've got interest in the Premier League. I've got interest in X, Y, Z. So, yeah, I just felt like we needed to end on a high, just to kind of, yes, we're buzzing. The season's finished now, but we kind of just we needed to do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just felt like it was a foregone conclusion. I think like Jared Bowen just being Jared Bowen, just carrying the football club at the moment, and he's got the entire football club on his back.
I'm so annoyed about that.
Yeah, I just like we go 1-0 up. Obviously, he's got the assist, and they go 2-1 up, and obviously he's scored a worldie, and it's just like, yeah, like, thanks, Jared, got us out of a hole here, mate. Well done again. But yeah, it's just for me, it was a foregone conclusion that we'd win the game. And it's nice to finish on a high. And I'm just buzzing. It's over now, mate. I was literally, I cheered when I saw that it had gone full time, not because we'd won, but because I didn't have to endure any more of that until August. Yeah. It's like, yes, it's done.
Yeah, I totally. But you know what, as well, mate, right? It's May the 27th we're talking at the moment. The season ticket deadline's June the 2nd. I still haven't renewed.
Oh, I've done mine. I
know you have. Yeah. I just can't bring myself to do it. I can't bring myself not to either. But I just can't. I just can't pay 792
Have a few beers before you do it. That will soften the blow.
I don't know if it will, though. I don't know if it make it worse.
Or just make you angrier.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You know what it was, right? And I think we spoke about this recently, so forgive me, those listening or watching, if you're like, all right, mate, you've already said this. I think for me, I'm having to get on board now. And to be fair, it was talking to you that kind of swung it to me a little bit. I think it was on the podcast. I'm just having to get on board now a bit, where that just having West Ham in my mind as a social endeavour, which is really sad for me, right? Because primarily a social endeavour, which is really, really sad for me because I'm 33. I've had a season ticket since I was 9. My first game was when I was 4 or 5, 1997. Yeah. I turned 5, so probably like 4 or 5. And it's affected me so much this year, but just like it affected me so positively the seasons before, I just feel I kind of, the only way I can justify in my head, because I sort of feel that it's been so bad this season and it's such poor management of the club and it's just so bad. I'm really like, they don't deserve my money. They don't deserve my money. The club does not deserve my money. And so the only way I can kind of justify it to myself without it feeling like a total betrayal is by going, well, like, it's an important, good social thing you should do. You know what it's like as blokes sometimes. I think you and I try to be pretty good at it, checking in on each other, seeing how we're getting on, chatting about stuff, beyond just football, and we encourage all blokes to do that. Just check in on how you're feeling, how you're doing, because typically we're not great at that. But I really just think, and if it wasn't for that, would I certainly wouldn't meet up with you as often. I love it when we go and your brother's there and his mates, and my dad comes and a couple of his mates, and it's a big old sort of mishmash, isn't it? It was the same with all the European games. We've got a little bit of a thing going for the home games now, which is nice. But it's almost got to the stage, particularly this season. Obviously, I hope it gets better, but it's got to the stage where the bit it's like, that was a good day, or I'm looking forward to today, apart from that annoying bit in the middle when I had to walk in the stadium and watch West Ham play football. And it just feels a bit sad, that, to me. But the only way I can kind of justify it to myself is going, all right, well, I'm paying nearly 800 quid of my hard-earned money, just to go and see people I like, rather than, whereas before it used to be, it was about the football, and I loved going to watch the football and everything that entailed. Nowadays, it's just sort of, certainly this season, it just become there's no pull to go other than seeing people I like, include you and my dad and some of my friends and your brother and all that. But do you know what I mean? It's just I sort of feel it's sad a bit that it's, on one hand it's nice, but on the other hand it's a bit sad that it's kind of been reduced to that for me, someone who loves West Ham so much, just like you do.
Yeah, it makes sense. I think where I'm at is that I've accepted and come to terms with the fact that the club has got and always will have me by the proverbials, and it's just, that's how it is. And I will pay for a season ticket every single year. The social side of it for me is kind of like, well, if we're having a rubbish season, then at least I've got that. If we're having a good season, I've got the bonus of a great football team to watch.
Yeah.
So yeah, that for me, I buy that season ticket not purely for it, but with a big reason behind it, is so that I get that time to spend with my brother, with my mates, on a match day. Can't beat a good 3 o'clock on a Saturday. Get to the pub early, few beers after. It's a good day out. The football, most of the time, the football is a byproduct of that Saturday.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
and that's sometimes when
it's
we're
always
playing
been
well.
like that for you.
For a good many years, yeah, it's been like that for a
so
while.
I think that's the difference.
I think even during that period where we were in Europe and under Moyes, and it was an unbelievable 3.5 years. Sometimes even the football was a byproduct for me then, because first and foremost, I just wanted to go out and have a day with the boys.
Yeah,
we just happened to be doing it at West Ham and watching West Ham be massive, and it was great. And it added to the atmosphere of it, and the day out. So yeah, like that. But the club will always have a very, very tight grip on me, and even a bad season like we've just had, or a disappointing or a frustrating season we've just had, it's just nowhere near going to deter me from it. Not even.
There must be a line.
No, for me, I don't think there is, mate. I've always said we could end up down in League Two, and I'd still be buying a season ticket to go.
If I'm honest, mate, in a weird way, you sort of think that, don't you? If we'd have gone down this year, I actually think, it wouldn't have been good because of all of the nightmares that gives for the club. But just from a football supporting experience, I'd have been like, right, line me up a few. Watching the home games at that stadium with like 35,000 in every week, when all the tourists disappear, and all the day trippers don't fancy it anymore, would have been absolutely abject.
Yeah.
But there's a little bit of me that goes, well, the mismanagement of the club almost deserved that, but bring on the away games, and we'd have won a few games, and a few new grounds and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, just a bit bleak. I will do it just because, what else are you going to do? But
yeah, mate, I'm
just not excited about it. I don't feel it's a positive thing I'm doing.
Yeah, we could end up doing a Sunderland where you have back-to-back relegations, or Luton just recently back-to-back relegations. You end up in League One, and it's just like, it's dire. You get half a full stadium, and suddenly the players that you got in the squad, no one even knows who they are. Like fans of teams in the Premier League go, "Oh, who's your best player?" I don't even know who plays for West Ham anymore. So I'd still go, and I'd still be there. Singing bubbles.
So
I'll be. So in my head, I'm like, well, we're in the Premier League. They've got it better than many other clubs in the country. Yes, it's been a tough watch this season, but for me, it's not even close to being bad enough for me to even think twice about renewing. And I look forward to being disappointed again next season.
Fair enough, James. Listen, anything to actually talk about the Ipswich game? Appreciate I've glossed over it a bit. The reception at the end was nice. A lot was made of Lucas Paqueta standing on his own, but most fans correctly pointed out that most West Ham fans who were there correctly pointed out that he'd had a moment with the fans before that, just sort of on his own. Then he thought they were all going, and then saw that they weren't, and turned back round again and was just stood away from them. And that the cameras, I think at the Daily Mail it was, who caught Paqueta standing on his own, maybe made a bit more of it than was perhaps the reality. Nice sort of send off for all the players at the end. Cresswell, nice moment playing at Ipswich, his last game for West Ham, the club we signed him from.
I think the reception Cresswell got from the entire stadium when he came off the bench was a really nice touch from Ipswich fans as well. Obviously, they recognised that he left them 11 years ago and has gone on to achieve what he has.
Yeah,
and it's his first time he's gone back there. So I think that was great. And I love the fact it was Thomas Souček pushing those four players in front of the fans. Another example of just someone who gets it, understands. So yeah, other than that, mate, there isn't a great deal to talk about. Other than the fact that the form that Jared Bowen has scored, it's the first time in his West Ham career he's scored in 4 consecutive games. Did you know that? Unbelievable.
Wow.
Yeah, he scored 5 in his last 6.
Good enough for Ham of the Year or England, though, is it?
And it blows my mind, mate, that Noni Madueke is in the England team over Jared Bowen, to the point where it's just laughable. And this guy wants to win us a World Cup, by the way.
Yeah,
he's come in to win us a World Cup, and he's making decisions like that. It's a joke. Get Southgate back straight away.
Couldn't agree more, mate. Tell you what, you can take me back now. Gareth Southgate, England manager. Dave Moyes, West Ham manager. What an era.
The glory days they were, weren't they? The glory days.
Yeah, exactly. Listen, Jonesy, I would say it's been wonderful. It hasn't been wonderful, to be honest. It's been absolutely pants. It's been a real slog for quite a while now. And yeah, I don't know. I've often felt sort of quite, a bit isolated in my views, I suppose, sort of going against the grain quite a lot. So what I would ask anyone in the comments on patreon.com/wearewesthampodcast, on Instagram, on Twitter, on anywhere, send us a DM on the podcast if you don't want to comment publicly, or put a comment under any of the videos on any of the platforms. We're on TikTok as well. That's one I always forget. We'd actually be flying on TikTok, mate, even though we're well into our 30s, little TikTok superstars. But yeah, let us know in the comments about what you think of anything me and James have had to say this week. Always keen to hear from you. Let us know if you agree, if you feel the same way, if I'm being overly negative and you think there's positives that I'm not seeing. On any views on any of the players, on anything that me or James have said. To be quite honest, as we're wrapping up for another season, he kind of at the stage now, as we always have been, really, the best part of it is hearing from you guys. We obviously met quite a few of you at various times, come up to us at games, or seeing us in the street or whatever it is. That's kind of what we do it for, really. It's brilliant to, it's easy for me and James to just log on here every week and get caught up in what the other one's saying, and sometimes easy to forget that it does go out to tens of thousands of people over the world, all around the world, as all of you are from. Our listeners are from different parts of the globe. So yeah, let us know what you think about this episode, what you think of the whole season, what you think about next season, if you're renewing or not, if you're on the waiting list, this mysterious waiting list that no one's actually sure even exists. Just let us know what you think. Give us your thoughts. We'll be glad to hear from you. Me and James are going to have a break for a while. We'll update you as soon as we can with any plans we may or may not have for the summer, and then the season beyond. But at the moment, both sort of in our, personally anyway, Our lives are sort of quite full on outside of this podcast. We made it work and flexed yet again for this season, as we've done every season, pretty much, to be honest, since the early days of where this podcast was born. It was actually born as a live radio show. We know some of you have been with us since those days, and me and James would meet up in the little radio show, the now bust Love Sport radio studio in Southwark. A couple of beers round the corner beforehand at the Doggett Coat and Badge, I think it was called, Jonesy. A couple of beers before, often a couple of beers afterwards as well. Just chat West Ham live on the radio for an hour and a half or so. It was absolutely brilliant. And we were as gutted as anyone when COVID hit, and that caused the radio to shut down. But we carried it on as a podcast, and here we are 6 years later, I believe now. We've made it work. It's posed its challenges. We've made it work alongside our own lives. Season in, season out. We'll have a review again for this summer about where we stand. One thing we will say is those of you who've signed up at patreon.com/wearewestham podcast, you've been a huge help this season, and any of you and are thinking about doing it again, that has and will do, really play into our decision about what we can do for next season. So thanks so much, everyone, for listening. As always, it's been a torrid time this year, having to talk about it every week, but the best part of it is hearing from you guys. So make sure you keep doing that. At @WeAre_West Ham on Twitter, at We Are West Ham Pod on Instagram, search We Are West Ham Podcast on TikTok and YouTube. Make sure you subscribe there. And like I say, for not very much money every month, if you sign up at patreon.com/We Are West Ham Podcast, you get all the podcasts a day earlier than everyone else and ad-free listening. Thanks for listening, everyone. Let us know what you think in the comments. Jonesy, any final thoughts before we say goodbye?
No, nothing from me other than I'd like to echo what you just said. Thanks to everyone for listening this season and sticking with us. It's been difficult to stick with West Ham. At least you've stuck with us. I really, really appreciate it, especially to Miriam and obviously to all of our Patreon subscribers as well. Very much appreciated.
Top man, Jonesy. Thanks for listening, everyone. Get stuck in. Let us know in the comments. We're going to have a break for a few weeks and we'll get back to you, let you know what we're up to. But thanks again for listening this season. Up the Hammers, West Ham, despite everyone at the club's best efforts, it appears, apart from Jared Bowen, are still massive. We'll speak to you later this summer.